Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new Let's Play on Stellaris MegaCorp, the Liguine, I think that's how you said, 2.2 update. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gonna lie, I've been waiting for this for fucking ages. The second they even hinted at the new tiles, I was there. But let's read through this little intro because for once I actually forget. I never pressed this, so luckily we got it up. So, greetings! Stellaris says, once again, undergone bold changes. In 2.2, the focus of the changes has been to rework how you develop planets and to deepen the game's economy. The purpose is to make management of planets more fun and engaging. Tiles are gone and have been replaced with districts, buildings, and jobs. You will now instead construct city districts, farming districts, mining districts, and generator districts, as well as various buildings with more specialized roles. Districts and buildings provides jobs, and a job worked by a pup will produce resources. As the planet gains more pops, it will unlock more building slots. Buildings work similar to how they did before, but now most of them provide jobs instead of producing resources directly. 2.2 also introduces a new trade system, where you essentially want to do is collect trade resources, trade value, found in space and produced on planets, by upgrading a nearby starbase. You should then set up a trade route leading back to your home system. Trade value is converted into usable resources when it reaches your trade capital. We recommend you take a look at the updated tutorial. I didn't actually look at this, but I like to play by figuring. I just like to figure out myself, and this is just basically saying that the update will require. Basically, you can't play the old saves unless you revert. Let's get into the new game. Now, I have played 2 games thus far. One as the Ufe Imperium, a slaver, because the new slave, there's new slave mechanics, and they work really damn well. I've played as the Yildar Arms and Tech Conglomerate, which is one of the new mega corporations governments, where they were basically a naval, basically literally an arms and tech conglomerate. So I made them. I tried to focus them very much on what's it called? War. They do have, and these guys have the same traits as my next faction, which I made for this Let's Play. Because I've never done a Federation Let's Play, I'm going to be playing as a military junta oligarchy. We are egalitarian, a xenophile, militarist. Now, I was going to play as a megacorp, but at the same time, I felt like an oligarchy would be better. Because, yes, megacorporations are like the big ticket item in the sense of they are the newest government, but there's so many features that don't just, it's not just focused on being a corporation. Like, being a megacorp is actually quite fun. But so is being a commonwealth or a military junta. But because this is megacorp, ladies and gentlemen, I was joking. We're going to be playing as a megacorp. So we're going to be playing as the Yildar Arms and Tech Conglomerate. Let's get to it. See, fooled you all. And by fooled you all, I mean I didn't even realize. To be fair, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't actually know who I was going to play. I made that oligarchy purely as a third option because I wanted to play a slaver, I wanted to play the megacorp, and I wanted to play something different. But with a megacorp, we can technically do the exact same thing as the oligarchy, so we can play the megacorp like the oligarchy. The only difference is they're not really as prone to federations. They're more fuck federations, fuck you, fuck everyone. So, we're not. If you guys would like to read that, please do, because, yeah, it's definitely a little bit interesting. So, this is our system. This little thing here is, we'll go from the top. Probably not going to get anywhere. We're going to be playing on normal speed for the majority, but anyway. So, energy credits have pretty much remained the same. They're just essentially spent a little differently. So, we currently gain base of 20. We gain 15 from trade because our trade system has not been completely set up yet. We're going to be making a fuck ton of money on trade. And trade is the one thing I haven't fully figured out yet. I figured out districts for the most part. Out of how well I figured it out, trade is the one I have the least knowledge on because I played in Megacorp for about 2 hours instead of about the 4 hours I played the other. And the other one was basically just figuring out the basic mechanics. But basically, you'll get from stations, jobs, and then you consume it for ships, stations, starbases, building, districts, and leaders. So, essentially, the only difference is that you gain more money from different things, and you lose it for different things. So, it's essentially just a slight change. But minerals are the one that have had the biggest change. And you know, I'll just read this. So, energy credits is an energy-backed currency accepted by all spacefaring races. You can gain more energy by building generator districts on the surface of colonized planets, using construction ships to build mining stations around energy-rich planets or stars, or selling resources on the market, which we'll get into later in this part. Minerals. Minerals is a collective term for the basic resources we need to construct ships, stations, and planetary buildings. We can gain more by... Now, see something on here. The construct ship isn't actually right, in a sense. Like, it is right, but it isn't right, and I'll explain that in a minute. But basically, you can gain some by building mining districts on the surface of colonized planets, using construction ships to build mining stations around the mineral-rich stars or planets, or rich planets or asteroids, and buying more on the market. The market is going to be something that is very, very intuitive and interesting, and something I would recommend every player gets acquainted with very quickly. Food is represented in various nutrients required to sustain and grow pops. You gain more by building agriculture districts on the surface of colonized planets or buying more on the market. Now, those are the 3 basic resources you'll need in any game, and obviously they're the ones we're all used to. They do serve different purposes now, while these minerals do. Food and energy are basically the same, where minerals has been reworked quite a bit because of the new resources that have been added. The first of the new resources is called consumer goods. Consumer goods is an advanced resource that represents the various gadgets, luxuries, and goods necessary to give your pops a good life and perform jobs such as research. Intellectual jobs such as research. You gain more by building civilian industries, building on the surface of colonized planets, or buying more simply through the market. Now, consumer goods are the one that, to me, in both my playthroughs, I kind of ignored because it doesn't go down that quickly. I did, of course, build a few, probably 1 extra civilian industries in the about 50 years on each campaign. But it's, well, not 50, but sorry, about 30 on one, 50 on the other. But point being is, I didn't really need to build too many because honestly, it takes a lot longer. The game is now made to be longer in the sense of it takes longer to get places because of the fact that... I'll explain some of the other reasons why, but basically, I have not had to use as much consumer goods. But I'm assuming that if you're going for the city planet, which is what I'm going to be trying to get, have an entire planet covered by an entire city, because obviously that makes most sense for us. Consumer goods are going to be an issue, but we'll get that when we cross that anyway. But essentially, they are consumer goods. Now, the next is alloys. Alloys are advanced resources with military application, which we need to construct ships and star bases. We gain more by building alloy foundries, building alloy foundries buildings on the surface of the colonized planets, or buy them on the market. Now, alloys is why I said minerals are not used for ships. Alloys are made from minerals, so are consumer goods. But alloys are what you need now to build ships, build every type of ship. Some buildings, I believe there's a few things. Yeah, I think some things on star bases require alloys. I can't remember. No, I might be wrong on that one. Anyway, but essentially, they're just minerals that have been refined. That's the simplest way to put it. Now, those are the 2 new things. It does feel like there are more, but that's because there are a lot more resource types. It's just these are the only ones that we bank on the main bar. Now, the next is influence, of course. Everyone knows what influence does. If you do not, if you're watching this Let's Play because you would like to understand and get into the new 2.2 update, I'm going to go over everything. I'm going to breach this as kind of a tutorial, like a joint learning where I'm learning things too, so we're all learning together. If you guys want to put anything in the comments, I have read the patch notes a couple days ago. I was going to read them before this, but I kind of ran out of time. So anyway, influence represents political clout and is used for many things like enacting edicts, making claims, building outposts, and dealing with factions. The gain rate remains fairly constant throughout the game, but can be increased by winning the support of factions in our empire, something that is actually not that hard to do anymore. It's a bit they've changed the system a little bit, so it's a little, because of the changes, it's a little bit easier. And declaring other empires your rivals. Pretty stock standard, and Unity remains the exact same. Unity is used to unlock new traditions. We can increase this by building the autofiction monuments or building other builds that provide jobs which provide Unity. Now, jobs are being the biggest thing, but we will get into. Now, research is just a little drop-down menu now, so we have it shows us the total research, and then it shows us the breakdown if you click it. You don't have to click it, you can just hover over, but if you click it, it brings down the menu. Now, the next is strategic resources. So the new ones are volatile motes. That's the new one. There's exotic gases, rare crystals, living metal, zero, dark matter, and nanites, which is the other new one. Now, volatile motes. These Preternatural particles contain a tremendous amount of energy which could be exploited in energy production or fuel, or even as explosives. Exotic gases. Rare and exotic gases with a variety of different uses, particularly in the operation of advanced energy-based weaponry and force fields. Some of the gases can also be used as starship fuel, or even as recreational drugs. Rare crystals. These crystals have properties that make them extremely effective at focusing laser beams, and they are also a critical component in most advanced electronics. In addition, many cultures treasure them as decorations and adornments. Living metal. This inorganic metal shows characteristics usually seen only in biological life forms. It will always attempt to regenerate back into the shape it was stabilized into. Zro, an extremely rare aerosol of exotic particles. It has been deposited on a number of worlds through meteor impacts, but its true origin is a mystery. If ingested by psionically gifted individuals, Zro acts as a very potent and addictive drug that enhances psi abilities. Dark matter. This exotic substance has many properties that seemingly defy several natural laws. Harvestable concentrations can only be found near black holes or in a certain nebula. And nanite. Simple but powerful nano actuators, allowing for complex manipulations and experiments of mesoscopic scales. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they used to, the way it used to work is strategic resources, you just get a few of them, but you just had them. But now they are a resource just like everything else. You now collect these, and you need them for building of, as it said, in different ship components and whatnot, and even buildings use them now. So it's very interesting. Now the next thing is empire size. So now we have a cap of 50 because we're a corporation. So basically, from districts, from systems and colonies, we gain empire. We have a empire size. So essentially, we have it's how we manage that empire. That's why it's administrative cap of 50, or it's called an administrative cap. But empire size is measured of the territorial expanse of your empire in the form of controlled systems, colonies, and districts. A high empire size is a strain on your empire's administrative capacity and will increase the cost of technologies, traditions, leaders, and campaigns. Admittedly, I have gone I went to 100 on my corporation, and as a corporation you get a plus 50% penalties. So it kind of hurt, but at the same time, being double wasn't too bad. I don't know. Now, I must admit, I do not know what ways to increase it just yet, because I wasn't far enough in to really figure that out. But I'll figure it out. Now, we now have empire systems, which shows star systems shown, and we also have planets colonized. So this is, I think, something cool. So it means I've always wanted to know how many little individual systems I have under my control, not just ones colonized. And then we have empire population and a breakdown of the populations in it, or population census. So we just have Yildar, and we have 28 pops. Yes, pops. 28 pops is now very small, in my opinion, for a planet. Or it's not very small, but it's just below middling. Star bases are the exact same, but if you used it, don't know. Star bases are essentially big basically big battle stations or stations that can provide shipbuilding capabilities, trade hubs, hangar extra anchorages to build up your ships and whatnot. But we'll get into more of those if you guys who don't know later on in the in the game. So but it will read it this way. It's stating your starbase capability will cause your starbase to have an increased upkeep cost. The starbase capacity is increased by the number of pops and owned systems, and also by certain technologies and traditions. So essentially, just have more population. The best way to get is more pops, more systems, more starbases you can effectively field. Starbases, I'll go for a quick look. The way I use them is I use them as bastions, essentially, which is the actual name that you'll take. This is a shipyard, but if it's this is what it's basically its primary purpose is. So bastion is what the game uses when you have basically just deck it out with guns for days. And the last but not least is naval capacity. We can effectively support a number of ships, total of 23, because we are base of 20 and we are naval contractors, which means we get an extra 15%. That 15% will become much more useful once we have a bigger base size, or once we start adding other reasons, other things to it. And exceeding your naval capacity will cause your ships to have an increased upkeep cost. The naval capacity is increased by the number of pops, or your number of pops, and starbase anchorages, and also by certain technologies and traditions. Now, that is the basic resource bar, and we're going to go on the second bar. This is we have now a second bar. This bar is honestly very well refined, but first things first, I'm going to quickly show you our advisor. Because in this update, they added 3 new advisors. The Ruthless Conglomerate.
As the learned say, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is also mine.
A slick corporation.
Don't let the baseless accusations of wrongdoing fool you. Our competitors are simply projecting their own insecurities. Here at MegaCorp, we always put your future first.
And last but not least, for you socialists, the worker.
Workers of the galaxy, unite. You have nothing to lose but your restraining fields.
We're going to stick with Ruthless Conglomerate because that's what we are. Now, first things first is contracts. Contracts are the exact same. Nothing has changed, other than obviously the fact that your empire pop size is a little bit different, and obviously War Status Federation. It essentially looks the same, and you can take off non-players if you don't want them. So you've now the next one is Situation Log, which again is the same, but you now have a victory, and it'll give you a breakdown of your victory conditions, like from economic, tech, number of systems, number of colonies, number of pops, subject empires, federations, and crisis ships killed, giving you a rank and score. But I have disabled them because I don't like a game telling me in how many years I have to end. I like to win. I like to control the galaxy, or I like to end on my terms. That's what we're gonna do. Next is the market. Now this, you will be here for a lot of time, because there's now automatic trades where you can do monthly trades, so you can buy certain things and sell certain things every month, and you'll do it automatically. There's also a market fee, so that shows how much the market will take from it. You can sell. Obviously, the prices will fluctuate depending on, and you'll always continue how much you've sold. So basically, you can keep a track of how much you've sold. The market will fluctuate, obviously becoming better for you or worse for you. And eventually, there'll be a galactic market. So this is currently the eternal market. Eventually, you'll have a galactic market when it is founded, so we can access. But once a galactic market is founded, we can do some slaving, which is the reason I obviously made a slaver, because the slave market I have not got to yet because I'm only 30 years in, because that's the one I went really, really slow with. I can't wait for it. It's going to be so much fun, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway, planets and sectors. Now this has changed. Your capital is a sector, and you can automatically make it doing, like, your core sector, you can basically auto-build your core sector, which to me is amazing. You can then transfer resources into a stockpile for your sector. Not gonna lie, gentlemen, I find that deeply amusing and deeply useful. Next is the expansion planner, which shows you amount of districts you can build in each of the 3 districts. City districts don't count, that they're basically ones you can build anywhere, but different planets have different tiles. I will explain when we get there. But essentially, that's the only thing that changed. The features, it's essentially just pretty much the same. Policies is exactly the same. So while we're here, we're going to quickly change our policies. Resettlement prohibited. We'll leave it as prohibited for now. Aggressive, closed border for now, because we're a ruthless conglomerate. Now we have food policies, which basically change how you do stuff. It's economic. We also now have economic policies. Technically, we should really go for militarized economy, but for now, we're going to stay off that. We've got wealth creation as our trade policy. Whoa, no, thank you. Wealth creation makes sense. And we allow robotic workers. We don't have population controls. We don't have slavery, and we only displace people because we are slightly authoritarian. Oh no, we're not authoritarian. We're egalitarian. Wait. Yeah, we are egalitarian. I thought so. I'm going to say it makes sense. Next is edicts. So edicts, and there's now edicts where you have use different strategic resources to do stuff, and they essentially give you different bonuses that make sense towards what the abilities do. And then you've also got the normal ones, which cost influence, and eventually you have ones that cost energy credits. Pretty simple. Traditions, the exact same. Obviously, they do different things now, but they're essentially the same. Ascension Perks, again, they are the same. There's just a few new ones, and obviously the ones that didn't make sense anymore will change to make sense. And then the one that we are going to be going for ASAP is Archaeology Project, which gives you the... I can't actually say the word, but it basically gives you the city planet, or it makes you you start getting the city planet. But you're not allowed natural resources on a planet, which again I will explain. But well, I'll explain later. But to get this, we need anti-gravity engineering, which is a tech. Requires 2 other Ascension Perks and requires an empty Ascension. So basically, 3 in, and we also need this because Actually, no, that's Xeno compatibility. That's another one of the really important ones, that like really cool ones that I'll show you later. Now we're going to finish this. So ship designer has been the same. Here we'll tell you the cost, and the cost is now in alloys, as you can see. We now start with point defense stuff. I need to make sure I turn auto generate off. But essentially, yeah, these are all. This is the exact same. It's just different resources now. Fleet manager, again, the same. For guys, if you guys who don't know, I should really say this. Basically, you have different components that you can fit in different slots. Like, so the G slot is for missiles. So if you see here, we can now put a nuclear missile in there. S slot, or the S, M, and L are for like normal weapons. And if we go back to the picket ship, ones with P are for essentially pickets, like the stuff that's picketing. Like it's your point defense. That's what it stands for. It's as simple as that. You have your generator, your type of drive, chemical thrusters, so your sublight radar, and a basic like your computer system, how your like AI of your ship works. These are additional components, and these are your standard components essentially. They are same, small, medium, large, depending on the size, depends on the cost, and also how much much they give you, or how much they benefit you. Fleet manager is essentially how you control your size of your fleets. It's pretty simple. It's not really anything important, and I can go over these both more when we get new ship designs and I start changing them. Now technology is as simple as it's technology. It's the technology that you are researching. So technology has been changed. It starts very expensive, and I'm just going to select the ones that we're going for. The ones I always go for first. That's kind of annoying. That's a good thing right there, but we'll go for these. It will say no progress because currently none has been made, but these will take quite a while. Factions we'll go over when we get faction. Claims we'll go over when we start claiming. Species essentially shows all the species of the galaxies, allows you to set the rights for each individual species, from citizenship to living standards to military service, and so on and so forth. Again, we'll go more over these when we start encountering other species. And leaders are essentially the 4 types of leaders we can have, and whether or not what leaders we currently have, and if we need to, we can recruit more. We can rename them, but at the moment we're currently not going to. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the first part. I hope you guys have enjoyed me just talking through explaining some of the basic stuff. I'm just going to quickly lock that because I do like it in its little form. In the next part, ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin the campaign and we'll start going through all the stuff. This will be still part 1 because I don't do part 0s. So ladies and gentlemen, in the next part, I will hope you guys will join me for the Yildar Arms and Tech Conglomerates Conquest, or Monopolizing the Galaxy. I'll see you guys then.